Hello! Okay, so this past October I had a humongous TBR read stack. It was about this, it was about like maybe 6 books, 7 books honestly. Could have been 8. It's been a while. And I failed miserably at getting through them. I ended up reading books that weren't in that list, that weren't in that pile, but oh well. I've been noticing that I've been trying to make reading a chore, and I don't want to do that. I want it to still be something that I enjoy and I love to do, that makes me relaxed and makes me happy. So I'm trying to ignore my reading challenge on Goodreads for now, and I'm trying to just like go with the flow and read whatever it is that I feel drawn to. But this is just my little wrap up of the month, and I'm going to go through the 3 books that I did finish, that I did read, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about the books that I'm thinking I'm probably going to read in November. And then I have just a little wrap up of my month in general. Some moments of zen from the adventures I took, and I hope it's all great. Okay, so my hopes were to read a bunch of spooky books for October. I ended up only reading one spooky book. But here is my read stack. Oh, that light's bad. There we go. 3 books. They're pretty thick though. It's decent. It's a decent month. But it's romance, horror, comedy, romance. But honestly, I'm not going to be too hard on myself because I need as much escapism from this world as possible. So, yay! The first book I read was Tools of Engagement, and it's the 3rd book in the Hot and Hammered series by Tessa. Super great. She leaves her favorite couple to write about last, actually, so this was her favorite one. And it was pretty good. I couldn't decide if I loved it more or just as much as Love Her or Lose Her, because you guys all know that I loved that book. More HGTV vibes in this one, if that's your thing, which is super great. Like, I don't know why HGTV doesn't like have a deal with like Lifetime movies, or just with Lifetime in general, and like they should make these books a show. It's fantastic. But there is actually a like an HGTV style contest in it. It's it's not just romance and stuff. There is some talk of, let's say, not feeling perfect, not feeling good enough, because that's what the main character deals with. And then Wes comes in. By the way, the main character is Bethany. She's in the other 2 books in the series, but she's a side character, but this was her book. And Wes is like a cowboy, and he's got some trouble, she's got some trouble, and they come together and they find a good balance with each other. But at first, like, it's a lot of banter and a lot of like hate at first sight. That's the good stuff. So, again, loved it. Perfect rom-com. If that's your thing, I highly suggest this series. Super good. I really related to Bethany's character of not feeling good enough and having to feel, in any regards, like work ethic, in your appearance, in your home, that you need to look a certain way or appear a certain way and seem like you just have it all together all the time. I feel like most people can relate to that. So that was nice. I liked that inclusion. It made it feel a little more real, like, so I don't feel like I'm reading some romantic fantasy. It's a little more grounded. So I very much enjoyed this book. The second book that I read in the month of October was the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, and oh my gosh, was this book amazing. So it was not what I expected. I was expecting like a Buffy vampire, like horror action, but also like really campy, funny at the same time vibe. That's not what I got from it. A lot of people are saying it's like really funny. I didn't really catch catch a lot of the humor. Maybe the humor, I think, comes from there being such normal circumstances, and then within these like really normal, mundane things, there's a freaking vampire slaying. I don't know, but it was so good. It was so good. I loved the mythology of the vampire in this book. It's a little bit different than like normal. It's different than the Twilight vampires. It's different than Dracula, but it's very unique and very, very scary. Again, I want to use the word grounded because the way the author made the vampire infiltrate the community was really accurate to how actual predators and criminals get access to people in general. I think it's a really great story that mimics the way predators work. They gain your trust. They look like everybody else. They're your best friend. You would never know that he's or she's hurting children, you know? So that does happen in this, so I would give a little bit of a trigger warning. Like, for me, it was kind of hard to read some of the vampire attacks because they are highly sexual in nature, and a lot of them are with children. So it's like, it's hard to read, but it's very well done. It has very good issues in there. It makes a point to be like, the first victims of the vampire are children of color. And of course, law enforcement is just saying, oh, it's drugs. Oh, the parents neglecting them. It's not anything after them, when in fact it truly is. So it makes a good point about how we typically ignore victims of crime when they are not white. It's not a lot. It's not prominent, but it's there enough. But it centers on a book club from the suburbs made of mostly, you know, like housewife types. And they just hate the books that they first started reading. So they make a new book club and they start reading like true crime and ghastly, gross books. But then one of these women notices a new member in the community, and it's just not, things are just not adding up. So they decide to like take action, but then the husbands all come in, which freaking warning, because they have the worst husbands in the history of literature in this book. They're freaking terrible. I hate them. Especially the main character's husband. He's a freaking jerk. Absolute jerk. I cannot stand him, but it was great. This was like one of those books I would like be reading, keep like closing it and turning and looking at my husband and be like, this guy's an ass. Or like, oh, I can't believe he did that. He has no idea what I'm talking about. But it's a Southern book clubs. It's like suburban housewives who everyone assumes like they have nothing else better in their day to do. They're just silly women, but they take matter into their own hands, which I very much appreciated. I liked that. I liked that juxtaposition of suburban and, you know, prim, proper housewife with vampire slayings. It's great. This is a really good book, so I'm gonna actually read all of books by Grady Hendrix. The next one I think I want to read is My Best Friend's Exorcism, which I checked out from the library, but I never read. Okay, the last book I read, and I finished it up to the last minute, was the sequel to The Simple Wild, which is Wild at Heart by K.A. Tucker. I loved it so much. I just need more. It's very great romantic escapism. It takes place in Alaska. It's Kala and Jonah. They're starting a new life together. They're trying to move past the emotional pain that happens in the first book. I won't spoil anything. But like Kala's really trying to find her place and make a life in Alaska, and it's hard. I mean, it's hard for everyone, but it's especially hard for her because she is from a city. She used to live with her parents. It's a big adjustment, and it's a big adjustment for their relationship as well. So there's a lot of obstacles in this one, but really, really wonderful scenery. It was really great to watch her growth. as a character, and such good winter vibes. The only regret I have is I wish I kind of saved this for Christmas time because it's so much more of a winter book to me. So I felt like I wasted it in the fall, but it was so great. It starts at Christmas time too, so that's kind of why I started being like, oh no, I should have held off on it, but I just couldn't stop myself from reading it because it's that good. I highly suggest that series. There's also a novella coming out soon called Forever Wild by K.A. Tucker that continues the story. But yeah, so that's what I read. I enjoyed every single one of them in different ways, and I think now I'm going to wrap up the rest of my month here for you and show you everything that I've done. I hope you enjoyed those, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the books that I hope to read in November. And the first one is a book I intended to read in October that I'm currently reading right now. It's Horrid by Katrina. I thought it was Katarina. It's Katrina Leno. So far, I'm just like 2 chapters in it, and we're setting up some creepy, spooky house vibes, which I like, and I can read it at any point. It doesn't have to be October, so I'm really looking forward to how this is. I've heard some really good things about it, so I'm hoping it meets all my expectations. Now, I usually reread The Haunting of Hill House every October. I missed that opportunity this October, but I'm going to read it again. Again, I don't have to wait for it to be spooky Halloween time for me to enjoy a spooky Halloween book. Even though it's not a Halloween book, it's just a really great horror book. But I'm gonna reread it because it's one of my favorite books, and like, it's just great, creepy, mysterious, ominous atmosphere, which I'm a big atmosphere reader. Like, that's what helps me get into a book. I want to feel completely absorbed. I want to be there. I want to feel there. I want the outside world to hush. I want it to be quiet because all I hear is the creaks and the weird noises of Hill House, which I do. So I suggest this book to every person I meet because it's one of the greatest books ever written. Shirley Jackson was an amazing, creepy writer. And I just feel like, I don't feel like anyone really reads much of her except for outside of like junior high. But then that's only the lottery. So people need to read more than just the lottery. And I highly suggest Haunting of Hill House, especially if you like the Netflix series. It's way different, but the creepiness is there. Now, I love the movie Practical Magic more than anything in this world. That is a national treasure, and I feel like it needs to be like held somewhere like in the Library of Congress where nothing can ever happen, so we will always have a copy of it. So I'm finally gonna read the book. Hopefully, eventually, we'll see. I'm gonna leave it in my pile to pick from as I read this month, but I know it's different. But the thing that's most important to me, because my coworker read it last year, she said that it ends with the same lines that the movie does. And like, that just makes me really emotional in a way I don't want to be emotional on camera. Because I am a human and I don't want to show that. So I'm really looking forward to eventually reading that. Hopefully. Now the rest of the books that I plan are just a bunch of romances, and they're parts of series. 2 series I've already read some of the books, and then 1 is brand new to me. Of course we got some Well Played, because Well Met was amazing and the Renaissance Festival in my state was canceled, which is fine. I was gonna go anyway with this happening, but this will give me, let me see, it doesn't really show up well on camera. Hopefully this will give me my Renaissance Festival vibes that I desperately crave. So I'm looking forward to that. Then of course I have the newest of the Bromance Book Club, which is Crazy Stupid Romance. I'm so excited to get back into this. I really loved it. I really loved the characters, so I'm hoping to find more of them in this one. And then, because I love this one so much, I found a read-alike that I checked out from my library, and it's The Proposal. Again, it has like the athlete notion, and they're both rom-coms. So I figured, well, if I like this one so much, I'm gonna run out of these soon. So I figured I would try something new and see if that works. So hopefully The Proposal should be good. I mean, it's by the author of The Wedding Date, which I know everyone seems to really have good things to say about. So I'm hoping to get these romance novels out of the way at some point this month. But that is my hopeful picks for November. That was also my October wrap-up. And let me know if you guys are planning on reading of any of these books, or if you already have. I really want to know. I want to talk books. That's my thing. Let's do this. Even if you don't want to talk books, if you want to talk like romance shows, you want to talk about romantic movies, I'm here for it. I'm here for anything, honestly. Let's talk. I'm not just into books. I'm into like movies and TV shows. I'm into video games too, somewhat. I'm not an expert, but like, let's talk. But if you're into like Pokemon, you could go to my husband's channel, which is Cow Arson Cards, etc. So, but let me know in the comments what you guys are planning to read. If you like the books that I've picked, or you know what, you can hate on me. That's fine too. I mean, I'm just here talking to no one, it feels like, so that's fine. It's fine. Alright, I'll be back with something else another time. Bye.